This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Missy Kohler. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson. This segment of the news is brought to you by Silver State Health, bringing quality medical and psychiatric care to Pahrump. Call 775-505-1214 for an appointment.
Good evening, and thanks for watching KPVM-TV's News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
I'm Missy Kohler. Thanks for being with us tonight. It is Wednesday, October 7th.
Well, Director of Emergency Management delivered another steady report to the Board of County Commissioners yesterday. Commissioner Leo Blundo reminded everyone to remain vigilant and continue to push to reopen.
Our COVID trajectory within Nye County has remained relatively stable since my last report. Most new cases continue to occur in Pahrump, and there have been no additional deaths. Currently, Pahrump cases stand at 487 total cases. Amargosa at 17, Beatty 13, Tonopah 22, Smoky Valley 4, Manhattan 1, and Gabbs 1. I would like to tell you that I believe the Manhattan is going to be inaccurate. It is listed on the state. However, we have been unable to identify that street in Manhattan, and we've also been unable to identify that individual. The person listed on the state report has not returned any of our phone calls, and we have no such address to go out and do a physical follow-up. We believe it may actually be a Clark County case. So that leaves us with 545 cases, which is an increase of 39 since the last BOCC meeting. We've also increased the number of antibody tests to 10, and 8 previously transferred to Clark County for a total of 527, which includes the 15 deaths. Our recovery status is approximately 450. I talked to the state just before this meeting, and we're looking at changing that number and improving the outcome, showing a substantially higher number. Our hospitalization remains stable in both Las Vegas and in Pahrump. Several of our residents do remain in hospitals, however, and 2 are listed in critical condition. Several new cases had underlying medical conditions, including diabetes, cardiac and respiratory histories, and most new cases were transmitted between the family members and not established to a particular type of business or entity other than a federal detention center located in Pahrump. Testing continues with interest in testing still on the decline. We are completing vaccination training in northern, central, and south and southern Nye County. Specifically, Tonopah has completed their vaccination training last Friday. We're waiting for the dates for Beatty, and Pahrumps are scheduled for 2 sessions on October 14th. Our response objectives remain valid and continue accordingly. Where flu pods, as a side note, are established, we are working on the final schedule. We are trying to get Amargosa into that schedule on a trip up to Beatty, and we're working with the county health nurse on that. Our recovery objectives are to manage all available funding for Nye County and make sure the recovery process is appropriate, ensure to continue collaboration between all county entities for safe operations, and also to ensure the coordination and reporting of all of our stats and appropriate actions in support of our reopening program or plan. As you know, Commissioner Koenig, we have that meeting again this coming Thursday. Rapid response to COVID has been good within the outbreaks, and we are continuing to hold steady with our PPE, including our testing kits, and our emergency service burn rate is in alignment with our access to the equipment and supplies.
Students have been back in school since August 24th. Some of the time is spent in the classroom and at home, and some kids are learning exclusively at home. We've heard from students that have learned that they are mostly finding their way. Parents, however, are also learning about a new way to educate. News 26 talked with Kenny Weaver, assistant principal at Pahrump Valley High School, to find out how his family is doing with their 3 children, 1 in college, 1 in middle school, and 1 high schooler learning virtually.
Right now she's total virtual. She is signed up for hybrid, so things will be changing. I don't know when, but she'll be going hybrid when that time comes.
So how is it going for them?
Benny is loving school right now. Mm-hmm. Maybe using the wrong term, but he's enjoying it more than he has in the past. He's able to work at his own pace. The middle school does have a different setup than what the high school has. He gets his assignments and he buzzes through them. He's a really bright kid, so he doesn't need much direction. He's able to get in there, do it, and get it done. He's thriving.
And then you also have another child that's in Dixie State University, so I'm sure that's a different setup too.
Yep.
Is these things that you have to learn, your wife has to learn as well to help out?
Fortunately, I know the platforms we use for Benny, but Madison was able to use some grant money last year and attend some GBC classes while she was a high school senior. And she learned the platforms that she's using now for Dixie State. So she's much more advanced than I am in those platforms.
Yeah.
And she's another bright kid, so she's been able to just go in. The first day she had access to her classes, she was already done with 2 weeks worth of lessons. So.
Do you have a schedule for when they need to sit down and do homework? Do you implement that, or do
they have a schedule with their mom? I'm at work, and she set that up for them to go forward. I'd like to speak on that, but that's.
Your other child's in high school, right?
She's a junior in high school.
Let's talk about the importance of parents being involved with everything that's going on with their kids, but also even more so at this time. But you both are working full time, so how's that looking like at home right now?
Our kids are older, so it's a little easier for us. We can access Benny's Canvas, so we could log in. We have his Infinite Campus portal on our phones, so whenever grades or attendance are updated, we get instant alerts, which is a great tool. The district doesn't have Canvas access for parents yet, but they're working on it. The thing I want to convey is that we don't expect parents to teach, but if you need help, reach out to us. We're there to support you and help the students get what they need. There's been a considerable number of parents that have reached out asking for help, or they don't understand, and we're able to walk them through or help them as best we can.
When we come back after the break, we'll have your Business First brief and your Pahrump arrest report. Stick around.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on. Optum Care Network of Nevada, offering Medicare Advantage members more than 3,000 primary and specialty care providers throughout the state.
Welcome back. Well, the Fed chair says the economy will suffer without another coronavirus stimulus package. The U.S. trade deficit is growing wider, and Boeing cuts passenger jet production. Details on Vice President's visit to Boulder City as well.
Topping our news, Fed Chair Jerome Powell is out with a warning about COVID-19 while speaking at the National Association of Business Economics Conference. Powell told the crowd, without a stimulus package from Congress, coronavirus will take the economy on a downward spiral of layoffs and economic decline. He also says too little support will lead to a weak recovery. The trade deficit is growing wider. In August, the deficit reached more than $67 billion. That is the highest level since 2006. Foreign trade has been hit hard by the pandemic. Boeing is cutting back its 10-year forecast in jet demand. The aircraft builder is lowering its earlier estimates by 11% as passenger travel falls. One bright spot is producing cargo jets for delivery companies.
To find out where you can see us every day, go to businessfirstam.com.
Thanks, Angela. Yes, Vice President Pence will be in Boulder City tomorrow. He'll be speaking at the airport to a crowd of approximately 250 people. A Pahrump woman has been arrested for allegedly exposing her 8-year-old daughter to methamphetamine smoke.
On September 11th at 9:30 a.m., sheriff's deputies were dispatched in reference to a possible child abuse that occurred in Pahrump. Division of Child and Family Services was the reporting party and advised that an 8-year-old child had tested positive for methamphetamine and was staying on the same property as her mother, Michelle Butler. DCFS advised the deputy that the child was not supposed to be in the custody of her mother and that Butler had allegedly blown smoke from the use of methamphetamine into the child's face. The deputy was advised by parole and probation that Butler was to be arrested. According to the arresting document, Butler said that her daughter had primarily been under her care and supervision. She said that she never did drugs in front of her daughter, but admitted that she used to have a pill problem and used medical marijuana. Butler stated that her brother had been around her daughter and was involved with drugs. Butler was taken into custody for parole and probation violation and for child abuse and neglect. She was transported to Nye County Detention Center.
Well, a Tonopah man was arrested in September for battery and kidnapping.
On September 11th at 6:30 p.m., sheriff's deputies were dispatched to a possible battery in Tonopah. Contact was made with the victim, and lacerations to his head, on the back of his head, and on his left cheek were observed. The victim also had abrasions on both elbows and marks on both sides of his throat consistent with being strangled. The victim said that Thomas Stone had stopped at his home and asked for cigarettes. The victim gave Stone money to purchase cigarettes for the both of them. Stone returned 2 hours later and found a way to enter the locked home. Stone located the victim in his bathroom shaving and began beating him in the face. Stone dragged the victim out of the home and forced his head onto the gravel, choking him until he was unable to breathe. Thomas left the scene but was later located while driving and was pulled over. Stone was uncooperative. Deputies observed multiple open beer bottles inside Stone's vehicle and learned that the license plate on Stone's vehicle was bogus. Stone was then arrested for attempted residential burglary, battery by strangulation, kidnapping in the second degree, open alcohol container in a vehicle, and bogus license plates.
Sure. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have your health report from Cleveland Clinic.
News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. The coronavirus pandemic hasn't just impacted how we live and work. It's also taking a toll on some people's mental health. Erica Foreman tells us how one Ohio mom has learned to cope despite a host of challenges.
Ready? Sarah Flynn has always tried to make mental health a priority, but the coronavirus pandemic has made it harder to manage her anxiety and depression.
COVID has definitely impacted our life in many ways.
At one point, Sarah was caring for her husband who had COVID-19, their terminally ill puppy, and trying to help her twin boys learn remotely, on top of working full-time coaching teachers.
In the moment, I think I was definitely just feeling overwhelmed. I was exhausted. I was beyond exhausted. So I don't even know that I could say I was, depressed. I was just so exhausted and so overwhelmed that I didn't even know what I felt, to be honest.
Sarah says at times she survived on autopilot, just trying to get through the day. But her psychologist at Cleveland Clinic was quick to remind her that she needs to take care of herself, too.
She had an incredibly full plate, and what we worked on is for her to really try and balance it the best that she could while also prioritizing her own needs without a feeling of guilt.
Dr. Borland says deep breathing can help the mind focus on the present. Being outdoors and talking to family, friends, or a professional can also be therapeutic.
I will always tell people that talking to somebody and having that person, that safe person to talk to about what you're thinking and you're feeling is so important. And not just for people who struggle with anxiety. In the world that we live in today, it's beneficial to anybody.
At Cleveland Clinic, I'm Erica Foreman.
Thanks, Erica. Well, each week we feature pets available for adoption from our local shelter. For today's Save a Pet, we meet Red, a very energetic and playful dog available now at Desert Haven.
Today's Save a Pet is proudly sponsored by Jason Ernest with Mountain West Lawyers. Call 775-727-9500.
Say hi to Red. Red is a border collie mix who was found as a stray, and the person that found him suspects he may have been abandoned. Given Red's personality, it's hard to understand why. Red is very energetic, friendly, and playful. He's approximately 2 years old with a red and white medium coat and has not been neutered, and he just now needs his forever home. If you'd like to meet Red or any of the other pets available for adoption from Desert Haven Animal Society, you can stop by to visit and play in the yard. They're located on Seary Lane right behind the Nye County Courthouse. Just call before you go at 775-751-7020. You can also see all of the other animals available for adoption by visiting the shelter on Facebook at Desert Haven Animal Society.
News 25 Weather Cam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Hi, it's John Kohler from Channel 25 News. I'm on location at Betty Loop. Betty Loop is just off of Betty Avenue, which is just off of Highway 160, north of the Home Depot. You just come over here, take a right. You're going to find Betty Loop. You know where it's at. Great place to exercise and enjoy. It's a loop. Nothing on here. And this is the great spot for doing something like what we're going to be doing on Halloween. It's a trunk or treat. Okay, so quality signs and design, KPVM and Ace Country are all getting together. We're getting the community together. We're going to line up this whole loop, if we can get it lined up all the way, with folks doing Halloween. Costumes, candy, music, fun. It's going to be out here on Saturday. Looking for volunteers, looking for sponsors, looking for participants, and any one of you can contact sales at qualitysignsnv.com, or you can call 775-727-9400, and we'll get you in touch with this. It's going to be happening on Halloween. We'll let you know more about it as it gets closer to the day, but won't this be fun out there on Betty Loop? You know it will be. All right, we'll tell you about the weather.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios, and this is your weather report. Hey, check it out in Fernley. 84 degrees. You got all the way up to that. Look at you working hard. 44 for a low tonight. Fallon also saw 84 degrees for a high, 41 for a low. Carson City, 84 for a high, 40 for a low. And on down the road to Tonopah, well, you're all the way up to 81 degrees. Not working it very hard there, Tonopah. 42 for a low tonight. Out in Goldfield, it's 82 for a high, 43 for a low. In Beatty, 90 degrees. Good job, Beatty. Getting into the 90s. You're in the club. Way to go. 54 for a low tonight. Also in the club, Amargosa with a majestic 95 degrees for a high today, 57 for a low. Out in Las Vegas, 97 degrees for a high, 64 for a low. And Death Valley, well, you crowned you're the champions. 104 degrees for a high today. Not too warm for you out in Death Valley. What's going on out there? 69 for a low. Let's take a look at the local temperature, shall we? 92 degrees currently. It's just off the mark of 94 for a high today here in Pahrump. South-southwesterly winds to 8 miles per hour, and humidity at a bisque dry 7%. Sun rose this morning at 6:44 a.m. That's a little bit later, and set this evening at 6:18 p.m. That's a little bit earlier, a gain of 4 minutes of night. Oh, good. A low tonight about 60 degrees, and the winds out of the east at 6 miles per hour. Humidity picking up just a little bit, but just a little bit. 15% humidity, and that'll feel good. Hey, let's take a look at the rest of the temperatures as we head on into the week. It is cooling off just a little bit as we head on towards the weekend, and as the week generally progresses, temperatures will be down. Tomorrow, a high of about 91 is about as warm as it's going to get for the next 7 days. And sneaking into Saturday and Sunday in the low and mid 80s for your highs as we head on through the week. Lows pretty steady Eddie in the mid 50s as we go on through the week. Winds picking up just a little bit the next couple days, especially Saturday and Sunday. 12 miles an hour winds swirling around from the south and the northwest, but that's how it'll feel on the weekend. A little windy and a little bit cooler. That'll feel all right. Good weather to go camping in. Maybe try that out. All right, that's your report from KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. I'm John Kohler. Back to the ladies.
Thanks so much, John. We're going to talk about tomorrow's flu shot clinic, and that's going to be held at the Calvada Eye right there on the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It's from 9 until 2. It's free. Come on by, 6 months and older. And then, of course, we are asking about volunteers for that trunk or treat. If you want to volunteer, if you want to participate, if you want to sponsor People's Candies for that trunk or treat, KPVM-TV, Ace Country Radio, and Quality Signs and Designs are having that on October 31st. You can, of course, find out more by going to sales at qualitysignsnv.com or giving us a call here at KPVM-TV at 727-9400. We want everybody to participate in that event. And, of course, we are promoting that event on October 31st. They're at the Betty Loop, right there off of Highway 160, just north of Home Depot. We'll be having a trunk or treat, and it's going to be social distancing, safe, and all of course, the protocols are put in there. We want to thank the Nye County Sheriff's Office for helping out with all of those.
And masks won't be a problem with this.
Yeah.
Wear your mask.
All right, that's going to do it for our news. I'm Deanna.
I'm Missy. Thanks for watching, and have a great evening.
Good night.